It is unsurprising this federal government contested the idea. It has a duty of care to anything. Tony Doyle, Fairy Meadow Je suis, Anjali Sharma. Barry Sexton, Primbeene needs to concentrate on policies, not personal attacks. Morrison tells us self-improvement is untrustworthy. He says we should vote for him because he's unchanged, same weight, same suits, same glasses. What a perfect reflection of the coalition's election mantra, more of the same. Edson Pike, Church Point. When any middle-aged man loses weight, he improves his heart health, blood pressure and longevity. When Our chooses to shame Anthony Albanese, he again reveals that he is tone-deaf. Let him continue to eat his Italian cake, but doing some variation of fat shaming is not okay. Lorraine Hickey, Green Point. Can I congratulate Mr. Albanese on his shape shift? I can relate to it. Over 2 years, I shifted my shape by losing 36 kilograms for health reasons. It doesn't matter why someone loses weight, the discipline needed to do it is great. Vivian Potter, Gowrie. It is time Scott Morrison concentrated on policies and not personal attacks on Anthony Albanese. With an election a couple of months away, it is far more important to know what the future holds for us than the weight loss of his opposition. Robin Lewis, Raglan. Scott Morrison is really scraping the bottom of the barrel with his criticism of Anthony Albanese's change in personal appearance. To criticize a person for improving their health and appearance is inane and stupid, with nothing to do with the policies of the Labour Party. Perhaps it is a pity that Morrison is not changing his appearance, as many voters are tired of the same old face and body appearing in the posed photo ops in a pitiful attempt to improve his standing. Glyn Stiller, Barrel. When our kids were learning how to play soccer, they were taught to play the ball, not the man, because that's the way to win. It's about time our politicians did likewise. Childish, personal attacks are unwarranted and unnecessary. Roll on the election, so all this sniping is behind us. But until then, the politicians should be aware that some of us are still hoping for a high-minded, policy-driven campaign. Marietta Hopkins, Wooloo. It demonstrates a hell of a lot more strength, resilience and commitment to go on a health kick than to mock one. Robin Bernstein, Annandale. Scott Morrison seems to enjoy throwing his weight around. He's now suggesting that Anthony Albanese can't be trusted because he decided to get fit. I hope all you gym junkies are taking notice. Graham Lum, North Rock's noble act in the face of tyranny. The self-sacrificing courage of Marina Ovsyannikova protesting against the Ukraine war in front of Russian TV news has the same iconic status as the man who stood defiantly against communist tanks in Tiananmen Square. The West should rally to her protection as a representative of the indomitable spirit of freedom and the nobility of individual courage in the face of tyranny. William Lloyd, Dennis Tone. Things may get dire for Russian state television producer Marina Ovsyannikova. Can our immigration minister offer her and her family safe haven? More effective than sanctions. John Swanton, Coogee. Why don't they just stop fighting and go home? What are the Russian soldiers waiting for? Why can't they do that? They would be heroes to show bravery, as Marina Ovsyannikova did. Ukraine can then begin recovery, and the whole world can breathe a sigh of relief. Ray Higgs, Ferntree Gully. Let a merry dance. The article, Don't Splash Cash in Federal Budget, Business Warns as Rents Spike, confirms further that 4-year fixed-term federal government should be enacted. The current government is playing with the electorate in their manipulation of the timing of the election, while the RBA and other institutions have to wait for their dance card to be filled before making the best financial and business plans to help the nation. Stephen Wilson, Kangaroo Valley. Keep fuel excise. Chris Ullman is right. The Morrison government must be tempted to cut excise to ease pain for motorists, especially ahead of the election. It is doubtful whether voters will change their votes should electoral tactics prevail over fiscal responsibility. The federal budget has been hammered by the generosity of JobSeeker, JobKeeper, management of COVID and the floods. Add to this the extra funds needed for healthcare, aged care, NDIS, and the now obvious need to increase defense spending, this is no time to cut excise. Apart from the US, Australia has the lowest petrol cost in the OECD. The ban on Russian oil is the sole cause of our current higher prices, which are now similar to those in Europe. The higher petrol price could be viewed as our small contribution to an effort to save Ukraine from the Putin, and also as an additional benefit of pushing owners of gas-guzzling SUVs and twin cabs to downsize to more economical vehicles. John Kempler, Rose Bay Unexpected Stresses. I'm not sure that in my 20 years as a primary school principal I had much trouble in managing expectations of multiple stakeholders. But as for stressful situations, I can cite a few. Consider the of a child in the playground, suffering personal physical attacks, meeting the needs of children with chronic illnesses or injuries in which a medically untrained person is confronted with a serious diabetic hypo or choking asthma attack. The best of luck to those charged with revising practices for the national teaching force. A sense of coping with the bizarre and the stress-ridden unpredictables would seem minimum qualifications for planners and trainers. Trevor Somerville, Illawong Granite less than grand. That grand old lady, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, is 90 on Saturday. How sad that her 4 prominent features have been neglected. John Bradfield, chief engineer behind the bridge's construction, would be dismayed at the discoloration of the granite pylons. He called them the Acropolis of Sydney. Years of neglect, pollution and fireworks have robbed the granite of its vitality, in places rendering the stone a dull yellowing hue. I have spent several years researching the granite workers and their families from my part of the world, the northeast of Scotland, taken to Australia in the 1920s to prepare the stone at the quarry at Moruya. In 2018, at Moruya, when Engineers Australia recognised the granite quarry as a site of historical significance, I described how in Aberdeen, my hometown, Moriscal College had been freshly cleaned and the granite transformed and revitalised. I spoke with Andrew Constance, then Minister of Transport and Roads. I obtained for him the details of the individual who supervised the Aberdeen project, to learn she is a Sydneysider, now back in Sydney. Nothing was done. Having an iconic bridge in the heart of Sydney is one thing, ensuring it looks its best is another. Bill Glennie, Kelter bad luck. You have a good strategy with umbrella management. Mina Evis, unlike me, as I have been umbrellaed frequently due to its demise, amnesiac placement, or being loaned to never return. One stormy wet morning, umbrella-less, I ran to the newsagent and bought an umbrella for $15. I excitedly stepped out into the downpour, where a wild gust of wind upended the brittle brolly, which flew from my hand, multiple ribs broken. Was this a record for the shortest umbrella possession? Manbir Singh Kohli, Pemalwui. Too slow to learn. I have returned many times to reflect on the Kathy Wilcox image in yesterday's Herald. Stark, blunt, insightful, provocative. The Glock could easily be replaced by a musket. As a nation, we have learnt so little about the indigenous custodians of our great land. The events surrounding this tragedy in the Northern Territory now take us even further from their trust and from their understanding of what we are trying to do to foster unity and reconciliation. Shane Hogan, Riverview Training Wheels. Congratulations to the trainees at the Herald. Please advise them not to rely on spell check. I couldn't bear it. Claire Edmonds, Floraville. Congratulations to the 5 new cadet journalists entering their careers. My only concern is that they are knowledgeable in the use of the apostrophes. The correct use brightens my day, the incorrect use suggests dark days ahead. Terry Charleston, Cootamundra. With all the advice offered to the trainees about conjunctions and the like, it wouldn't surprise me if they are reconsidering their career. Stephen Driscoll, Castle Hill. All at sea over subs. The latest UAP in the Herald claims that they would acquire new submarines immediately. I couldn't see any on Gumtree, so could Mr. Palmer tell us where he would get them? Judith Campbell, Drummoyne Clive is going to provide us with the submarines we need to keep us safe. I'll vote for him now, just to see how well his attacks on the submarine bases of the world to capture the required immediate force work out. Somehow, I doubt he has fully thought